He wants to run for sewer commissioner?
Okay,
Thank you. Good evening. Today is Tuesday, February 2nd, 2013. The Milford Planning Board is now in session. Okay, minutes of the meeting. Moved by John,
Second.
second by Pat. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous with 4 with 1 abstention. ZBA variance referral, 23 Iderola Ave, Ms. Alfred Scioli. Dear Madam Chairman, the applicant is requesting a variance to allow for the division of the subject property to create a separate building lot. The subject property is an 18,763 square feet conforming lot, considered a through lot of 100 feet of footage on Iderola Ave and 29.24 feet of frontage on Richard Street. The applicant is seeking variance of the lot size and setback to create 2 substandard lots. Proposed lot 5A would contain the existing residence and the Iderola Avenue frontage, but have only 9,882 square feet of lot area. Proposed lot 5B would utilize the 29.24 feet Richard Street frontage, and have only 8,881 square feet of lot area. Proposed lot 5B would also need a front and rear yard variance. The minimum lot size in our RB district is 15,000 square feet. There appears to be no hardship to warrant splitting the lot to create 2 undersized parcels just to gain a second building lot. Therefore, I recommend an unfavorable report forwarded to the Zoning Board of Appeal. Respectfully yours, Larry Duncan, our town planner. Okay. Who's on?
give it to
That'll
her.
be me.
Okay.
I'm Ernie Pettinari. My office is at 12 Main Street in Milford. I'm here on behalf of the McGrath family and the Sciolis. I don't know how much or how many of you know the families. Mr. McGrath is a widower. His late wife was Al Scioli's sister. Jerry and Jim lived on Iderola Avenue for a long time. Since losing his wife, he has suffered the usual things that happen when folks are aging in their home. And with his brother-in-law and sister-in-law, they've been exploring all the options that might be available to them, and short of selling the house and finding another place to live, they've come up with the idea that if Al and Denise could build a 2-bedroom house on the back lot behind the existing structure on Iderola Avenue, it would be comfortable for them and it would solve some of their problems. The variances that would be necessary would be the area requirements, because the existing lot's about 18,000 square feet. We would submit that the lot itself is unique. It's the only house on Iderola Avenue up on that part of Richard Street that doesn't back up to a house which fronts on Richard Street. So the lot is long and narrow. And had Richard Street been extended when originally laid out, there'd be a house there already, and the lots would be smaller than they currently are. The resultant lots, being 8,800 square feet roughly apiece, are comparable to several lots in the immediate vicinity. And the variances that would be requested would be the area requirement for the existing house, and the existing house as it's presently configured is too close to the lot line already, so they would need a variance for that. And then the second lot, the lot in the back, would require, as Mrs. McCarthy mentioned, the area requirement and the frontage. There's no street frontage to speak of where the house would be bypassed by the roadway. The dead end of Richard Street would be the point of departure for the lot and would form the entryway to the driveway. So the frontage requirement we would submit is not as essential as it would be if it were on the side of a road. And then secondly, the setback requirement is an issue as it applies to the rear yards. The idea behind this is that the ability of the petitioner to show the premises are unique, the ability of the petitioner to allege that he has a resulting or a potentially resulting hardship from his inability to use the property as he would like to use it and to maintain a continuing connection to it. And the argument that, in fact, the resultant lots are really not offensive in the sense of being completely out of keeping with all of the properties in the neighborhood is the basis of the presentation that we intend to make to the zoning board. I understand Larry's position, and I understand zoning, and I have respect for it. But I honestly would tell you that I don't think this is an outrageous request. I think it makes sense from the petitioner's point of view, and that's my presentation.
Mr. Pednari, may I inquire as to the length of time that Mr. McGrath has lived at this residence?
I don't know. It's been for as long as I've known I'm friendly with Mr. McGrath's wife's cousin, the local
Could you just
pastor.
could you hazard a guess?
It's since Federal Avenue was built. I mean, a long
Because
time.
one of the reference points that you used was the full utilization of the land.
Yep.
And regrettably, if he's lived there to that point in excess of 50 years, 40 years, what have you, there's an argument that he has had full utilization of the land, and it served him well.
Correct.
Up until, again, if you were talking about adding an in-law apartment or something like that, that's a much different discussion. I think to take a lot that arguably, looking at the pictures that you presented, certainly shows of a very nicely landscaped property that was well taken care of and utilized to the full extent that he deemed necessary at the time. I think taking it now and chopping it into two lots that are now realistically or honestly both non-conforming just doesn't seem reasonable.
I understand.
Yeah, I understand where Pat is coming from. I wonder why they don't add on a in-law apartment with that amount of land behind them. It would be a lot easier for them to do that. I'm not,
Heck, move a mobile home in there.
I mean, I really feel that, I feel bad for
Mobile
the guy,
being
but I really think that they should probably
little fence there.
reconsider and ask for, to come back and ask for an in-law apartment. And I think that would fly better, personally.
Again, I
You know,
respect that position. At the present time, in my conversations with them, I don't think they were prepared to contemplate the entire family living together in one unit. That's pretty much the way it was in one structure.
Right, right.
And again, I respect that position. I understand what you're
Well,
saying.
there are a lot of families now that have come forward to us adding on an in-law apartment, and they're very nice. They use quite a bit of the land that they have, so, with that, is there anyone else? Joe?
Well, yeah, I guess just not that I'm necessarily rebutting Mr. Pettinari, but in looking at this, I mean, I think there was a distinct reason why this was divided this way when it was divided, and it was always this way, and most of the lots would still be 2,000 to 3,000 square foot bigger on Ida Roller Ave than this one, so I don't think that necessarily those lots would, changing that would do that. I also worry about the frontage on Richard Street being substandard, but I look at it and I asked Mr. Mainini, the first comment I had was, how do you plow that? I mean, effectively, you have a driveway that is the end of the road that I'm sure right now, Highway Department goes to the end of Richard Street and piles it right on that end. I don't know what they would do in the future if that's somebody's driveway, but I don't think Scott would be real pleased about having to try to figure out how he's gonna backdrag the end of Richard Street so that people can have access. So I don't think that that's acceptable to me. And us giving a recommendation that would allow that, I think is not, certainly isn't something that I could do.
Again, I understand.
Babe? John? No. Okay.
With that, I'd like to
Do you have
make
a motion?
yeah, I'd like to make an unfavorable recommendation to the zoning board and attach Larry's letter.
Okay, unfavorable to send Larry's letter together to Lena. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Pat.
I'm not really sure what I'm seconding, but yes.
All right, send an unfavorable to the ZBA.
May I have your letter, please?
All in favor? Unanimous of 5.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Ernie, you gave me 2 of these.
You may have these back for the ZBA.
Just save one for me.
I got it going away now, Ernie.
All right, Ernie.
Ernie, could you leave one with Larry, please?
There you go.
Thank you.
Can you pass this one down to
Are you gonna have
Larry?
enough?
May I have that?
Are you gonna have enough if I keep one?
I can make more. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 5.
Number 5, dear Madam Chairman, the applicant requests a special permit to allow keeping of chickens on a subject property. The subject property is a 12,451 square foot lotted on southeasterly side of Parkhurst Street. The applicant is proposing a movable chicken coop to be located in the backyard. The plan submitted does not indicate the possible locations of the proposed coop and the proposed number of chickens to be kept. The neighborhood block is characterized by the relatively dense development pattern containing 18 1, 2, 3 family homes. Therefore, I recommend an unfavorable report to the zoning board of appeals. I certainly agree with Larry's report to send it unfavorable. Looking at the number of houses and families that live on that street, they would be impacted. Do I hear anyone else?
No, I get to agree,
Huh?
ready stores aren't open, so they can't sell eggs. No,
Yeah.
it's just, it's.
Yeah, it's the wrong zone.
The density-
Nine-
It's too
yeah.
dense of a neighborhood.
Yeah.
It really
If we're
is.
in a different zone, I wouldn't have as much of an issue with being in RA zone. It's,
Well, with the proximity of, and you have 2, 3 single-family homes, I think regrettably, the density is just too great in that area, that chickens would thrive and be welcoming to the neighborhood. I just don't see that it all
It's
works.
a very close neighborhood.
Yeah, it's extremely
very
close when you
close.
look at the
It
overview.
is close,
I'll make
yeah.
a motion of unfavorable to the ZBA.
Motion made by Pat to send it unfavorable to the ZBA, second by John. All in favor? Unanimous of 5.
May I have your letter, please? Thank you. Oh, sure. Thank you. And then finally.
Okay, number 6,
Larry.
schedule update sign section of zoning bylaw.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure you were aware, the selectmen did get the final draft that this board had approved in their,
Well, we sent, we never voted on it.
well, right, but, well, you did, line by line, you read it.
Line by
But, don't read it again. No, the board received it in their correspondence, so they may do something with it this coming Monday at their next meeting. It's not clear exactly what that's going to be, whether it's going to be an internal discussion amongst just the selectmen, or if they want any of us to show up for that meeting. Certainly, we'll probably be invited at a later meeting, but if something transpires between now and then, I'll be sure and let you all know with an email, so to the extent that anybody can come to the meeting, if they want to discuss it this coming Monday, then we can do that. Otherwise, it'll be a following meeting.
What's the date of the meeting that,
The 8th would be next
oh,
Monday.
that's next Monday.
Right. Now, your next meeting will be on the 16th of this month.
Right.
2 weeks from tonight, and that would be the night that you would formally vote to send the memo requesting a remand. Then that'll start the formal process. The board then, at their meeting on the 22nd, the selectmen's next meeting, the following meeting on the 22nd, then they would formally remand it and
Okay.
set the hearing. And I'd gone through, basically I filled out Form 7 that we have to send to the Attorney General after a zoning amendment's adopted, and started at the back and worked forward. So I started with the town meeting date, and then made sure that everything else we're going to do between now and then meets the legal requirements. So when we are done, we can confirm that we did it correctly, and the AG will sign off on it.
Okay.
So I'll let you know as soon as I find out. We may know tomorrow, or, hopefully we'll know yet this week.
Well,
you.
send us an email.
Yep.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Pat to adjourn, second by John. All in favor? Unanimous. Good night, everyone.